Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast. Picture this. It is a wide open Saturday. You have absolutely no plans, nowhere to be, and your only real task for the entire day is to go to the post office and mail a package.
Sounds like a pretty relaxing day, honestly.
Right. But somehow, that one simple, tiny errand will totally swallow your entire afternoon.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you'll take your time finding the packing tape, you'll, decide to stop for coffee on the way.
You'll take the scenic route.
Yeah, you'll stand in a long line just without a care in the world. But what if you have a flight to catch in exactly 3 hours and you absolutely must mail that package before you head to the airport?
Oh, then you're out the door in 2 minutes flat.
Exactly. Suddenly you're this heat-seeking missile of efficiency, right? That exact same errand takes you 20 minutes tops.
It's a completely universal experience. I
Hmm.
mean, the perceived difficulty of a task magically scales to the amount of time we have available to complete it.
Which is wild.
It is. And that everyday phenomenon is actually the entry point into a massive strategic advantage for anyone operating in today's business landscape.
Which is exactly our mission for this deep dive. Today, we are exploring how intentionally shrinking your available time can supercharge your efficiency and really give you a competitive edge.
And we really need this right now.
We do. We are drawing from some incredible insights put together by Felix Rumer from smartkeys.org. His article is called Using Parkinson's Law, Shorten Deadlines to Get More Done in Less Time. And Felix has over 15 years of experience in e-commerce and digital marketing, so he's laid out this highly strategic framework.
Yeah, for mastering what we just described, which is formerly known as Parkinson's Law, and looking at the modern professional landscape right now, I mean, this couldn't be more relevant.
Oh, for sure.
We are dealing with an absolute epidemic of bloated timelines. We have endless meetings that could have easily been resolved in a 3-sentence email.
The classic, this meeting could have been an email.
Exactly. And we have massive scope creep, turning these straightforward 2-week initiatives into agonizing 6-month ordeals. Understanding the mechanics behind Parkinson's Law is really the only way to break that cycle.
So if my brain is literally wired to sabotage a simple Saturday errand, how on earth do I prevent it from, completely derailing a major corporate project? Like, where does this tendency even come from?
Right, so to understand the psychology, we have to look at the origins. The core idea was actually coined by Cyril Northcote Parkinson.
Hence Parkinson's Law.
Exactly. He was a British naval historian, and he introduced it in this satirical essay for The Economist way back in 1955. And then he later expanded on it in a book called The Pursuit of Progress.
Okay, 1955. So this is not a new problem.
Not at all. And he used this brilliant illustration that we call the postcard story from the source text. Basically, Parkinson described an elderly lady whose only task for the entire day is to send a postcard to her niece.
And because she has all day,
The task stretches to fill the entire day.
I'm guessing there's a lot of unnecessary prep work involved in that.
A monumental amount.
Yeah.
I mean, she spends an hour just finding the postcard, then another hour hunting for her glasses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, half an hour searching for the niece's address, an hour and a quarter debating what to actually write on the card.
Just overthinking the whole thing.
Completely.
Yeah.
And then a full 20 minutes agonizing over whether or not to take an umbrella for the short walk to the mailbox.
Okay, we can laugh at that, but I have absolutely spent an hour hunting for the perfect font for a presentation that maybe 3 people were going to see. It's the exact same behavior.
It is. And it stems from psychological procrastination.
Yeah.
You see, when a deadline is far off in the future, we don't just put off starting. Our brains actively inflate how difficult and complex the task is.
Huh. So we convince ourselves it's harder than it is.
Exactly. It's basically an economic reality applied to human behavior. The supply of time directly drives the demand for effort.
Right.
If you have a month to write a basic report, your brain convinces you that a month-long project must require this extensive, groundbreaking research.
Oh, you start thinking you need custom graphics and interviews with 3 different departments and a 10-page executive summary.
Precisely. And while that happens on an individual level, it becomes incredibly dangerous when it scales up to organizational bureaucracy.
I can imagine.
There is a concept in the article called bike shedding.
Bike shedding.
Yeah. Imagine a committee tasked with approving the plans for a complex, multi-million-dollar nuclear power plant. Because evaluating a nuclear reactor is highly technical and, frankly, intimidating, the committee just breezes through it.
I just approve it.
Pretty much.
Sure.
But then they get to the plans for the employee bike shed. and everyone understands a bike shed. Everyone has an opinion on what color it should be painted.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Oh.
So they spend hours arguing over the paint color and just completely ignoring the complex decisions that actually matter.
Yes, because there is no tight time constraint forcing prioritization. Human beings naturally gravitate toward polishing the easy, trivial stuff to feel productive. They are avoiding the heavy cognitive load of the real work.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let me push back on this a bit, though. If a team is spending time polishing the details, even the really small ones, isn't that ultimately a good thing? I mean, it feels like we've been conditioned to believe that giving a project more time inherently increases the quality of the final product. If we just ruthlessly chop deadlines in half, aren't we just guaranteeing a sloppy, rushed result?
That is the most common hesitation, for sure. But there is a fundamental difference between structural quality and superficial tinkering.
Okay, how so?
Extra time rarely goes toward improving the core value of a product.
Yeah.
Instead, it just gets eaten up by those low-value details. Like, when a team has an abundance of time, they don't necessarily make the software run faster or make the marketing pitch more compelling.
Right.
They add features no one asked for, or they run the copy through, 7 unnecessary rounds of minor word tweaks.
So what you're saying is the constraint isn't a punishment for the team, it's actually a filter.
Exactly. A tight deadline forces prioritization. It strips away the luxury of bike shedding. When you only have 2 weeks instead of 2 months, you don't have time to debate the color of the bike shed. You just have to focus all your energy on the high-impact steps that actually deliver value.
That reframes things completely. I mean, if you have 10 minutes to pack for a trip, you grab your passport, your phone charger, and your clothes.
Right.
If you have 3 days, you start packing the waffle iron just in case.
Exactly, the waffle iron phenomenon.
So if we know our brains inflate tasks and our teams love to debate the waffle iron, how do we hack our own schedules to beat this?
Well, it starts with individual frameworks, and the most foundational tactic here is the self-imposed deadline.
Okay.
You have to estimate the actual effort a task requires, completely ignoring the official deadline, and map out your own finish line. You are artificially recreating that flight-to-catch urgency.
But practically speaking, how do you enforce that on a random Tuesday afternoon when you're just tired? The immediate next step in the text seems to be time boxing.
Yes, time boxing is key. You give each task a rigid block on your calendar, so it literally can't bleed into the rest of your day.
So you're basically building a wall around the task.
Exactly. And you have to be really strategic about those boxes. You reserve your peak energy hours for deep, focused work. And you strictly relegate admin tasks, like answering emails or filing expense reports, to smaller, low-energy slots.
That makes a lot of sense.
And to get granular, the article suggests implementing the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, you work for 25 minutes of pure, uninterrupted focus, followed by a mandatory 5-minute break, and after 4 rounds of that, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute recovery to really protect your mental endurance.
And for all those tiny little distractions that inevitably pop up while you're trying to focus.
You deploy the 2-minute rule.
Okay, how does that work?
If a tiny action crosses your desk and it takes less than 2 minutes to resolve, like replying to a quick question on Slack or approving a simple document, you clear it immediately, rather than letting it pile up into a massive, intimidating backlog.
What's fascinating here is... Oh, wait, sorry, you were going to say...
Oh, I was just going to say, what's fascinating here is that these aren't just time-tracking tools. They are psychological boundaries that actively shift the brain from planning mode directly into execution mode.
Right. But I see how those tactics organize a day, but I keep coming back to that self-imposed deadline thing. It feels a bit like hitting the snooze button on your own alarm clock.
How do you mean?
Well, when a project gets tough, isn't it incredibly easy to just ignore a fake deadline you gave yourself? Like, your brain knows it's not real.
Oh, it will definitely feel fake if you just arbitrarily guess a date. The key to making a self-imposed deadline stick is defining what good enough looks like before you even start, which curbs that perfectionism. But more importantly, you have to log your actual task times. You break a massive project into specific subtasks, and you track how long they actually take to complete in reality.
Ah, so you're building a database of your own performance.
Exactly. When your self-imposed deadline is built on historical data of your own past performance, it stops feeling like a fake boundary. It becomes a realistic professional standard.
That's a huge distinction.
It is. And there's a powerful psychological shift that happens here. When you set a timer for 25 minutes, or you block out a 2-hour window based on hard data, You pull your brain out of its anxious planning mode and force it to just execute.
You are basically generating self-trust through data. Like if I know a report takes me exactly 4 hours because I've logged it 3 times before, I don't need a whole month to stress about it. I just need a solid 4-hour block on Thursday.
Exactly. You've completely neutralized the procrastination.
Okay, managing our own calendars is one piece of the puzzle, but we have to scale this up. I mean, it is entirely possible to be a Pomodoro master at your own desk, while the rest of your department is just drowning in low-value busy work.
No, it happens all the time.
Right. So how do we apply these constraints to an entire organization?
This requires a massive cultural shift away from the traditional 40-hour work week mentality.
Okay, the 9 to 5 mindset.
Yeah. For decades, organizations have measured productivity by hours spent sitting in a chair. To overcome Parkinson's law at scale, a team has to become ruthlessly focused on concrete deliverables and outcomes, rather than just hours logged.
And this brings us right into the world of agile practices, right? Like we hear the term sprints thrown around a lot in corporate environments, but how do they actually function as a defense against time bloat?
Well, a sprint is essentially a time box for an entire team. Instead of looking at a massive year-long project and just drifting aimlessly for the first 6 months, you break the work down.
Give me an example.
Let's take a marketing pitch. If you give a team a month to develop a pitch, they will spend 3 weeks stewing on vague ideas, panicking in week 4, and then pulling all-nighters to get it done.
The classic college term paper approach.
Exactly. We've all been there. But an agile sprint fixes this by turning that brief into a focused 2-week cycle. You force the team to produce a working draft early.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you review it, you get client feedback immediately, and you iterate. This completely eliminates those agonizing, endless tweaks at the very end of a timeline because you've been course-correcting all along.
And keeping those sprints on track requires a smart plan, right?
Right.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Yep, paired with highly structured 15-minute review checkpoints.
But from what we're looking at in the text, the real game changers seem to be the boundaries you establish before the work even begins. Specifically, something called the definition of done.
Yes, this is critical. A shared definition of done is a formal, documented agreement across the entire team on exactly what the final output needs to look like for a task to be considered complete.
Because if you don't have that, you get the classic disaster scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Like a team builds a new feature for an app and the developers say, great, the code works, we're done. But marketing says, wait, where is the promotional copy? Legal chimes in and asks for a compliance review.
And the client suddenly decides the user interface needs to be blue instead of green.
Exactly. And suddenly, a project that was theoretically finished drags on for another 3 months.
Exactly. A strict definition of done locks the scope early on. It prevents stakeholders from continuously moving the goalposts and aggressively cuts down on that post-deadline rework.
And to stop those stakeholders from moving the goalposts, you have to clarify who actually has a say. This introduces frameworks from the article like RANCI and DCI.
Right. RACI stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consulted, and Informed. It's a great tool, but many Agile teams actually prefer the DCI model, which is driver, approver, contributors, and informed.
What's the practical difference between the two?
DCI is highly action-oriented. The driver is the single person pushing the project forward. The approver is the one person with veto power.
Okay.
Contributors provide expertise, and the informed just get updates. They do not get to derail the project with late opinions.
That makes total sense. It's like moving from a chaotic neighborhood potluck to a Michelin star kitchen.
I love that analogy.
Right. At a potluck, everyone brings whatever they want, nobody knows when the main course is ready, and somehow there are 6 different potato salads.
A total mess of good intentions.
Exactly. But in a professional kitchen, everyone knows exactly who the head chef is, the approver. Everyone knows who is prepping the vegetables, who is cooking the meat, and who is running the plates. Because those roles are crystal clear, the food gets out the door perfectly cooked and on time.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. When roles are that defined, work doesn't sit around in a bottleneck waiting for bureaucratic approval from someone who shouldn't even be involved in the decision.
And once you have that kitchen running, how do you keep it from getting overwhelmed?
You implement WIP limits, work in progress limits.
Okay, how does that look?
Think of a project board like a multi-lane highway. If you cram too many cars onto the highway at once, traffic doesn't just slow down, it completely grids to a halt.
A total traffic jam.
Right.
Yeah.
The same goes for a team. If you assign everyone 10 concurrent tasks, the constant context switching just destroys their focus. Limiting the active work in progress ensures things actually get finished before new work is started.
That is huge.
Yeah, and you combine that with strict meeting rules, time blocking them with absolute caps, setting a rigid agenda, and hanging up the call on the dot, and your team's velocity will absolutely skyrocket.
So we've mapped out the tactics for the individual, and we've scaled those constraints to the team level. Let's look at the ultimate strategic payoff for the modern professional tuning in. Like, why go through all the friction of changing how we work?
The payoff is massive agility. By intentionally shortening deadlines, you trigger a healthy, productive urgency. You neutralize procrastination, you force faster decisions, and you empower your business to adapt to market changes rapidly.
Right.
And the best part, you achieve a significant boost in productivity without adding a single extra hour to the workday.
I have to challenge this premise, though.
Go for it.
We are talking about aggressively tightening deadlines, limiting time, and forcing sprints. Doesn't constantly running at that pace just create a high-stress, burnout-inducing pressure cooker?
Sounds like it would, yeah.
I mean, if you rush a software developer, they write buggy code. If you rush a graphic designer, they produce cliches. Doesn't this eventually cause a complete collapse?
It's a very valid concern, and it's actually in the FAQ of the article. It highlights a crucial misunderstanding of how these tools are meant to be used. Tightening a deadline doesn't mean taking a 6-month workload and demanding it be done in 2 weeks through sheer panic.
Okay, that is a relief.
Right. It means scoping the work down to something that can realistically be achieved in a 2-week sprint.
So it's about scoping, not rushing.
Exactly. What actually causes burnout is overcommitting, taking on too many concurrent, massive tasks with vague expectations. The psychological weight of a project dragging on for months, with endless rounds of vague rework and shifting goalposts, is deeply exhausting.
Because you are living in a constant state of ambiguity. You never get the satisfaction of actually finishing anything.
Precisely. Short sprints, with a very clear locked scope and built-in recovery periods, like those Pomodoro breaks, actually reduce long-term stress.
Wow, so the opposite of a pressure cooker.
Yes. A short, sharp deadline that ends with a clear, definitive done allows you to log off, disconnect, and mentally recover. Ambiguity is the real enemy of our mental health, not the focused pace of the work itself.
That is a huge paradigm shift. The constraint is what actually creates the freedom to rest.
Exactly.
So to bring all these theoretical and strategic insights down to a single forward-looking takeaway for the listener's immediate workday, what should be the main focus?
The core thesis is this. Cutting the available time you give a task forces sharper focus and yields faster, higher-value results. You have to actively adopt the mindset of start early, decide faster, and finish it good enough. Don't let the pursuit of perfection become an excuse for procrastination.
And we want to give you an actionable challenge to test this out. During your very next block of focused work, deploy the 2-minute rule. If a tiny action pops up, an email reply, a quick approval, clear it immediately. Watch how much mental bandwidth you get back when those small things aren't piling up in the background, secretly draining your focus.
It's a really small habit, but it fundamentally changes how you process incoming information.
But there is a deeper layer to all of this, and here's where it gets really interesting. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you look at your calendar this week.
Well, this is a good one.
If it is a fundamental law that work always expands to fill the time available, what is expanding to fill the free time you think you're saving by being so efficient?
Right.
When you shave 2 hours off a project by using time boxing and sprints, are you intentionally protecting that saved time for deep thinking, for rest, or for your family? Or are you just unconsciously letting a brand new pile of low-value busy work bleed in to fill the vacuum?
That is the ultimate question. Efficiency for the sake of just doing more busy work is a trap. Efficiency for the sake of reclaiming your time and directing it toward what actually matters, that is the true strategic advantage.
Beautifully said. We want to explicitly thank you for tuning in to the Smart Keys podcast today. If you want to consistently stay ahead of the curve, make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you are listening right now.
Absolutely, hit subscribe.
And please do yourself a favor and read the full, comprehensive article by Felix Romer. It is packed with nuances and tactical details that can totally transform how you work. You can find the link to the original smartkeys.org post right there in the show notes. Until next time, define your constraints, guard your time, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.